the general election, there was a lot of talk about the economy and how a lot of people voted against the establishment candidates because they were tired of feeling the economic pressures by policies that weren't working for them. So reporters at The Atlantic decided to go to specific parts of the country where the economy is actually booming, and it did a lot better under Obama's administration. And so one of the places they went to was Elkhart in Michigan, or I'm sorry, in Indiana, I apologize. So they went to Elkhart in Indiana, and they noticed a huge difference from 2009 to today. So for instance, Elkhart's unemployment rate, which had reached a high of 22% in March of 2009, is now at 3.9%. To give you further examples, the RV industry makes 65% of its vehicles in that area, and the industry is producing a record number of vehicles, which is creating a lot of jobs. Now, business is booming. The economy is doing well in this part of Indiana, and it has a lot to do with some of Obama's policies, right? Whether it be, what he did with the auto industry and what he did with the stimulus package, it seemed to have some sort of effect. So, do the voters there support Obama, or are they against him? Interestingly enough, a lot of them actually despise Obama. They say it's not Obama who's responsible for the city or the country's economic progress, and furthermore, that the economy won't truly start to improve until President-elect Donald Trump takes office. In fact, one resident there, Chris Corbin, says, he didn't help us here, but he took the credit for what happened.
The exact opposite happened, Chris. He did help you there. He helped you tremendously, and he did not take the credit. So he thinks he took the credit because right after he won in 2009, he went and gave a speech in Elkhart, Indiana. And then in June, he went back to Elkhart and in his own super subtle way bragged about how great they were doing now. Look, he saved the auto industry. That directly saved your jobs in Elkhart because the RV industry obviously very much connected to the auto industry, let alone everything else he did. That moron, George W. Bush, destroyed your economy. You had 22% unemployment under Republicans. So, but no. You're like, oh, when I was unemployed under George Bush, that was great. When he shredded our industry, that was great. Then Obama comes in and saves us, and we got, in this case, it is literal. And we have now 3.9% unemployment. No, I'm not going to give him credit. Now, the problem with Obama is he does subtle. And subtle doesn't work in politics. You have to be like a baboon like Trump. And you go, me do it. Me take credit for Carrier. Me save thousands of jobs. And what does everybody do? Give him credit for Carrier, et cetera, right?
Yeah, they give him credit for Carrier because he simply takes the credit and he does it aggressively, right? And so, look, if you look into the details of what he did, it's actually really, really harmful because now corporations can just be like, oh, I'm going to leave unless the government gives me more money, and then maybe I'll keep half the jobs here, right? That's essentially what happened.
And look, and I think that actually Trump, half of what he did in Carrier was a good thing. Half was what Anna just said. But he got all the world of credit for that. Like, even these guys in Elkhart are like, oh, man, look at what he did in Carrier, man. He's already creating jobs, right? Obama created 3,000 jobs a day on his watch. The Carrier deal was only 700 jobs. But Obama is so goddamn subtle. He doesn't want to say it. It'll seem like bragging. You're a politician. Not only, it's not about you, because he does a great job bragging when he's running for office, right? He does a great job of being political and campaigning when he's running for office. But it's about your principles and your party and fighting for progressive positions. So when you save the auto industry, you should go there and say, the Republicans were going to take your jobs. They had destroyed your jobs. Oh, no, I'll seem like an angry black man. I don't want to do that. Oh, that's impolite. I don't want to do that. I already won 2 elections. I don't need to do it for myself. So I'll just play patty cakes. Well, then you don't get credit. You've got to actually insist on what is, in your case, actually true. You shouldn't get credit for all the entire economy. A lot of the jobs are still way too low wages and you're way too corporate, et cetera. But in this case, there is no question about it, and yet you're so subtle that no one noticed you went to Elkhart. You think that everybody talked about you going to Elkhart? Nobody knows. Maybe a couple of people in Elkhart know, but nobody in the rest of the country was like, oh, you remember what Obama did in Elkhart, Indiana?
Yeah.
No one I know, not a single real person ever talked about that because you whispered it. You whispered it.
I think that your hypothesis definitely has some credibility, and I'm curious to see if we had a strong Democrat who did take credit similar to the way that Trump takes credit, whether or not it would work and whether or not, voters would respond to that. But I think what's definitely true and has some influence is that people are very polarized right now. Politics is very polarized right now. And people like to play party politics. They want their party to win. And they reject information that goes against their preconceived notions. They want information that reinforces what they already believe. In fact, a government professor talked about this, and I love his quote because I think it's absolutely true. And to be clear, it's not just Republicans, it's Democrats who fall victim to this type of thinking. He says people's predispositions affect their factual beliefs about the world. What we want to be true influences what we believe to be true.
So I love this stat. So to give you a sense that Democrats are also predisposed, because we're all human beings, okay? It affects us all, independents, Democrats, and Republicans. So according to a Gallup poll, 35% before the election thought the economy was getting worse. But right after the election, after Trump won, 47% of Democrats the next week said, oh, it's definitely getting worse. Wait.
Why?
Yeah. What? So it was a 12-point jump of Democrats saying the economy is getting worse when nothing in the economy actually changed that week. But because Trump had won, they're like, oh, no, I can tell it's getting worse. Yeah, it's getting worse, right? That's crazy, okay? Now, keep that in mind. 35 to 47, that's a 12-point difference. So, yes, Democrats do it. Now, let me give you the Republican numbers. So now let's go to one of the graphics we have here. They say that a Gallup found that while just 16% of Republicans said they thought the economy was getting better in the week leading up to the election, 49% said they thought it was getting better in the week after the election. Now think about how crazy that is. Week before the election, 16% of Republicans like, I guess it's getting better. The rest of them are like, no, economy's terrible, goddamn Obama. A week after the election, Trump wins. He's not the president. He's the president-elect. He hasn't done anything yet. That's the week after the election. No carry deal, nothing. He hasn't done anything. 49%, oh yeah, economy's doing great. Economy's doing much better. Yeah, right on there. So, yes, we're all humans and prone to believe what we want to believe, but Republicans do it worse. Conservatives are more open to manipulation, propaganda, and more adverse to facts. They don't like facts. They have their ideology, and they're like, I don't want your stinking facts. So one had a 12-point difference, and that's embarrassing for Democrats. You ought to be better than that. You're supposed to, if you're a progressive, you're supposed to be logical and reasonable and actually look at science, facts, etc., right? 12-point difference. Republicans, a whopping 33-point difference from 16 to 49.
It's insane. So what I'm curious about, and I guess we'll see over the next 4 years, is if Trump's policies prove to go the way that we predict and he destroys the economy and places like Elkhart really suffer, who are they going to blame? Do they blame Obama somehow, miraculously, or do they finally wake up after they feel it in their pocketbooks? I know no one really carries pocketbooks these days. And just wake up to what the reality of the situation is.
I have the answer for you. Luckily,
Yeah.
I have the answer.
Okay.
So two things are going to happen. One, are a lot of them still going to blame Democrats? Of course. They're not going to blame, they might blame Obama to some degree, but mainly what they're going to do is, if the Democrats just hadn't opposed Trump, it's all their fault. If they just had let Trump do everything he wanted, everything would have been great. But those goddamn Democrats blocked like 1% of what he did in the Senate.
Yeah, I got news for you. Democrats will not block anything, and Trump will do everything that he wants to do.
I know, but it doesn't matter.
It.
They'll still, even if they block one thing, that's the excuse they use. But a lot of Republicans, and certainly a ton of independents, will turn around and go, yeah, that was a bad call. We shouldn't have gone for Trump. Now, why am I optimistic about that?
Yeah, why?
Because of facts. Bush, picked by God, according to Republicans, okay? And they loved him and they believed him unquestionably, just like Trump. You don't remember, I covered every day of Trump's presidency from the beginning of 2002 all the way to the end. Mm-hmm. And we all as a country forget how blindly loyal Republicans were to George W. Bush. Nope, Iraq's a great idea. It's going great. We're making progress. We're making progress. Progress is right around the corner. They all said it. They were like fucking robots. So we're making progress. George W. Bush is our dear leader. He is wonderful and picked by Jesus himself, right? By the end, his popularity was down in the 20s. And at that point, you couldn't find a Bush voter. They were like, what? No, Bush? I never liked that guy. Yeah, no, that guy's an idiot. Yeah, no, it's his daddy's thing. They're rich. And Cheney was too much, man. No, I knew all along. Now, Bush and Cheney, they're no good. We need change. Now, maybe Republicans and God and all that stuff, but not these guys. They're bums. His popularity was down to like 27%. That is unbelievably low for a president. So the jury came in on Bush, and even a lot of Republicans were like, no, genuine moron, totally screwed over the country. So if you thought that they came to that conclusion on Bush, wait till you see the conclusion they reach on Trump. Because he's not only just as dumb as Bush, but he's actually far more corrupt. If you like this Young Turks video, wait till you get a load of Young Turks membership. So many more shows and no ads at all. Come and see tytnetwork.com/join.